Hi, Craig.
Hey Kyla, how are you going?
Good, thank you. Hi, everyone. Today we're joined by Craig McAlpine. Craig is the founder of My Career Brand. He is also an executive coach, and he's our specialist on go-to-market strategies. Today, Craig is going to be talking to us about what makes a great CV. So, Craig.
Hey, thanks very much, Kyla. And I think I'll start off today by just covering a few key points, and maybe later on in some other vlogs and podcasts, we'll get into some more detail around specifics on the CV. But to kick off with, I think it's really important that we understand who our audience is and who our market is.
Yeah, definitely. So how do you find this information out?
Yeah, I think there's a number of areas. Look, obviously there's the internet and, a wealth of information. LinkedIn, finding out who the key stakeholders are, what their challenges are, doing some market research around the sector and industry challenges. But then it's about crafting, your CV around and using the language around those particular stakeholders in those various sectors and that particular business.
So it's about making sure that you've done your research before you actually start writing your CV, so that you can tailor it specifically to what the audience is looking for.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's challenging, isn't it? Because, you've got to understand who the stakeholders are, and they may have their own individual challenges as well. So, a great way to do that is to make some inquiries and do some research, dig deep before you submit your CV.
Yeah, excellent. So here you've talking about optimizing your CV to be found for the role that you want. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so often recruiters, search consultants, etc., will use an applicant tracking system, often referred to as an ATS. So we want to make sure that our CV, which is our marketing collateral in the first instance, is found. Look, and that goes through to LinkedIn as well, but I'll talk about LinkedIn in another series of podcasts. But yeah, ultimately what we want to make sure is that what we have in our CV, that's the content, that it is going to be found for the right reasons, and our CV is going to float to the top of the candidate database so that you do get that call. Now that can be as much as using the right technical skills, the right competencies, the experience, and the recency in your CV. So making sure that you get found for the right reasons.
Yeah, okay. Can you explain why candidates get pigeonholed?
Yeah, often it's because what we do is that we're projecting in the past. Okay, so we're only talking about what we've done in the way as it directly related to our current or previous roles. And I talk later on in this podcast today about projecting forward. But it's really important that the recruiter or hiring manager understands your transferable skills. So if you want to shift roles, what skills are you going to be taking forward, and how are you actually articulating that in your CV so that it becomes compelling?
And really clear for the reader, and they don't have to join the dots.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, awesome. Content. What should your CV say?
Look, overall, I think, Kyla, it needs to be authentic. It needs to be you. It needs to be in your language. And that's, along with some other reasons, why we don't subscribe to just writing CVs and isolations at My Career Brand. It's very much of a collaborative exercise. And then the CV owner, that's the candidate, comes through in the CV. So it becomes an authentic document, which is relatable to the person. And you know yourself, Kyla, when you've been doing an interview, with somebody and you're looking at their CV and looking at them and you're going, have we got the CVs or the person mixed up? What's going on here? Same name, different person, different CV. So it's really important that the CV language is authentic. Bottom line, it needs to be believable, and that's going to be tested in an interview. So throughout the coaching programs that we have, we're always testing and challenging the achievements, for example. So your content does really, really matter. yeah, it's really important that we get that impact.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think if you can relate the impact and the benefits that you've added to your previous organization, it makes you so much more believable when you're applying to face similar challenges in a new environment.
Yeah, it certainly does. And your first page has really got to create that impact. The research has said that you've got 6 seconds. So that's a heck of a lot less than what the old elevator pitch used to be. People talk about what's your elevator pitch. Actually, we haven't got time for an elevator pitch anymore. We've really got to draw people in, and it's just part of society, wanting everything now, wanting it sooner, wanting it quicker, faster. And then we've got to draw people in from that first page into page 2 onwards. So adding value, creating compelling content with your achievements and so on.
Okay. And your value proposition, how do you work that out?
It's a really challenging situation for some people to think about what their proposition is, particularly if they're in a role where it's more strategic. Okay, so they don't necessarily have the hard numbers such as you would do in sales. Or in a change role, for example, where you might be doing cost out or revenue in and so on. So that becomes challenging, but you definitely can develop a really strong value proposition from that, what you have. So it's about positioning an organization, for example. But again, that capability needs to be aligned to the employer needs. So you need to, as you mentioned before, Kyla, join the dots. Make sure that you're not leaving it up to the reader to join the dots. Make sure that you're bringing everything together, talking the language that they talk as much as you can, presenting a value proposition which is going to be relevant to what they want.
Yeah. I think you make a really good point there about not leaving it to the reader to join the dots, because a lot of the time they won't.
Exactly.
Projecting forward. So I thought that a CV, or we're led to believe that a CV should be a historical review of everywhere that you've worked. Are you suggesting that?
Yeah, well, that's sort of, it was. Now what we're looking for is people to move. We're looking for agility. We want people to move forward. Now, if you want to be that person that's going to be moving forward, and you talked before about pigeonholing, Kyla, well, if you leave it as purely historical, that's exactly what's going to happen. You'll be pigeonholed into what you've done before. So it's really important that you're able to cast forward, be future, be potential. You've got to be current, and you've got to underpin things with previous experience, absolutely. But if you want your career to move, your CV's got to move forward with you as well.
And I guess you have to be able to articulate a really compelling reason, a really compelling motivational alignment for the role that you're applying for as well.
Yeah, you do. And look, that has to be evidence. It has to be credible, has to be relevant. It's really important that you develop some outcomes, okay?
Yeah.
So that people can see you working in their organization. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so your CV, once you've done all of these things, might get you in the door, but it won't win you the job.
Exactly.
What tell us about that?
Yeah, well, look, you would have seen it yourself, Kyla. Great CV. Person comes to interview, falls flat. It's a flop. Yeah. So, look, I think it's really important at this point in time to just underline the fact that, look, you can have a great CV, but unless you get the interview sorted out, you're not going to win the role. Somebody else with great interview skills will. They may not be the best person for the role, but because they've got a good CV, great interview skills, they're in. So I think it's really important to close that one off too. And I know that we've talked in other podcasts about interview skills, getting impact or making impact, and working with recruiters to ensure, that you do get across the line. Yeah.
This is all really fantastic preparation work for an interview though. Going through and reflecting on your achievements and which of those achievements are going to be relevant to that particular reader for that particular role, because you will have put that content into your CV, and those will be the stories that you tell when it comes to your interview.
Absolutely. Yep. It's a good foundation, Kyla.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's been great, Craig. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thanks very much, Kyla. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.